Intro.
Hello everybody and welcome to our rogue command devlog for this week. This week we're going to do something different. I'm recording the audio first this time, which is exciting because new. And what I want to do today is just go through a post that I did around. It's almost a year ago now. It was on August 2nd last year, where I basically posted a FAQ and a roadmap in our Discord. And I thought it would be kind of fun to go through that and see how much of that still holds up, and use that kind of as a trigger for me to finally update that post. So I'm just gonna read this to you, what I wrote there, and then I'm gonna talk about like where we are in terms of what I said we would do and if things changed and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that will be the video. All right, let's go through the post. I said, this is a rough overview of the things we intend to finish before entering early access. First lie exposed, because I'm not sure we're gonna do early access. We'll see. They're sorted in the order in which we want to implement them. We'll not give out timelines. Still true. This order might change at any point. Still true. But we will keep it up to date with how we view it at the time. Keep it up to date. Well, that is a big lie. I haven't updated that in a year. All the things that benefit the whole game, like technical movements, controls, etc., will also be rolled out to the demo lab version, which I'm not calling it that anymore, but that is mostly still true. And I'll later go through to mark which things are also coming to demo lab. I don't think I ever did that. First point. Localization. We're close to implementing a whole bunch of new supported languages: German, French, Spanish, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese. This will include a certain amount of control customization, since we need to support different keyboard layouts anyway. Yeah, we did that. That actually did go down exactly as expected at the moment, and we're still supporting those languages. It's kind of cool because it's definitely nice to have to be able to get like feedback from people from other countries as well. But I have to admit that we sometimes wish that we wouldn't have done that, because it really makes updating the demo and everything a lot more complicated, because you always, whenever you change some little thing somewhere, you also have to go through all the different languages and have to find a way to get those translated. And yeah, that can be a pain in the butt sometimes, but I think overall it's been a positive for us. Second point, iterations. This is our take on a Slay the Spire-like Ascension system. There will be increasingly challenging difficulty modifications that you can unlock. There will be a simple version at first, and we'll definitely have a version of this for our demo as well. And then I say 50 to 60%, I don't know what that even means. I don't know why I added those numbers. Maybe how certain I was that we were going to do it. Well, we have done that. There's 2 unlockable difficulties in the demo at the moment, and we will add one more with one of the coming updates. Not sure which one yet, because there's a couple of more specific things that I want to do in there, and I don't want to add it before that. But yeah, we did that, and we definitely plan to do some really cool stuff with that for the full game as well. So yeah, that definitely gets a big green check mark from us. The third point, AI overhaul. Our AI is pretty bare bones now. Our goal for AI is not to have it to be smart, but we want to present you with a hopefully huge range of interesting challenges. Guiding idea that we want to try is having certain enemy units have specific behaviors, since they're part of the robo-machinery of the PCX Corp, where everything has to adhere to specific function. This will also help bringing a bit of the background story to life. An example would be a quick unit that is always specifically on the hunt for harvesters, so whenever you see this unit in the field, you can learn what to expect. There will be certain things that might override these default behaviors, but in general, that's the idea. Our hope is that having these specific things, you'll be very motivated to scout out your opponents, but it might also allow you to set traps. Like if you know the harvesters hunters are on the prowl, you might send out some undefended harvesters, but set up a minefield around the crystal field. I see if this pans out, but we feel like it fits the idea of decks and builds really well. Yes, I still think that. I still think that this is where we're heading. So far, we only have this you can kind of see some hints of it. We overhauled the AI in general, which is what I meant in that post. And so it basically, even though it works very similar to the AI system that we had before, the way that it's technically implemented does allow us to do exactly that. So there is some kind of specific things like the energy hunters, which are those quick hovering pew pew laser shooty guys. They will try to flee once their shields are depleted, or the CF5 enemy unit also tends to flee when one of the bigger units, like there's a chance that they will decide to flee when there's a bigger unit around them that get taken out. So there is some hints of that already, but that's definitely still one of the biggest things I think that we want to work on and tackle is the AI, because I think that is kind of maybe, after having the builds be really satisfying and the core gameplay feel great for the player, that is the most important thing that we have to get right. And even though I feel like it's still at the moment already it works fairly well, like you can tell that by people having fun with it already. I still think that there's a lot of cool things that we can do. There will definitely, I think, at the time I thought that would be like our general goal for everything. I'm not sure about that anymore, because I think that just having some really like a simple generic RTS type enemy that just builds up their base and attacks you from time to time, that kind of stuff, also definitely has its place in the game. But that is something that also really I envision interacting with the Ascension system, because I think that especially in later stages, once you understand better how the game works, then it's also cool if the enemy then feels new stuff that will provide you with like more specific challenges and can get meaner in some spots. So yeah, that's definitely still something that we want to do, and something where we have laid the technical foundation, but haven't really implemented to the extent that I maybe thought at the time we would have at this point. Number 4, potions. You might have found a chest in the game here and there, and in the future these might get a lot more interesting with potions. They'll be single-use items that will allow you to do some pretty powerful stuff. They might give you a huge chunk of money, they might allow you to heal all your units at once, teleport your army somewhere, summon a meteor, strike down on a location, and these will allow you to get out of a tough situation or to augment a tactic in a specific situation. You find these in chests, you might also find them in the shops. We'll see. Yeah, so these are in the game, and they're actually one of the big positive surprises for me, because I was fairly certain that they would be a cool addition, but I think they are even more fun than I expected them to be. And yeah, and even the specific ideas that we had here with there's actually like most of the ones that I mentioned here are actually already in the game, which is funny because I definitely did not look at this post again when I started to implement them. But yeah, you can summon a meteor, strike down a location. There's even a crystal meteor that also allows you to build up a huge crystal field at the same time. I think the only one in here that we haven't done yet is being able to teleport your army somewhere, but that also definitely will come, because teleporting is a thing now, and again, the systems are built up in a way where it's fairly easy once we got the basic functionality, and it's not that big a deal to implement it for other systems, for other cases or units or whatever as well. So yeah, that will definitely be there, and that's definitely a system that I'm really happy we have finally in the game, and that I think you will have a lot more fun with in the future as well. Number 5. Tanks as the second playable faction. As you've probably noticed so far, the game consists solely of robos. This is because they are the first faction that we felt we nailed down pretty well. For early access, we'll start with at least 2 factions. The exact details of how this will work are still a bit fuzzy, but the idea is that you will be able to combine 2 factions for a run, so you play a robo/tank deck or a mech/robo deck. This will allow even wilder synergies and combos, and we can't wait to finally get this into the game. So yeah, I was definitely right about this being still a bit fuzzy, and I think we can mark this down as another lie, evil developer lie, because I don't think we will do factions in the way that we thought about it in this case here. So Rockman has gone through a couple of different kind of ideas with this, and none of the ones that we have implemented so far has felt exactly right. In the very beginning, we just like the units and everything that we have in the game were so few that we just had everything. You could basically just get everything. So you could get vehicles like jeeps or trucks or hovering laser guys or whatever. Like there was I don't know, like 20 to 30 cards that you could get, and the more we expanded that out, the more often it happened that it kind of didn't feel great, because the combinations that you were getting throughout the run didn't necessarily fit well together. So that is kind of where the idea of having to limit down the scope of the things that you're getting to something that is will allow you to get some more consistent builds came from. And having that separated into factions feels like a very fitting RTS thing to do, because that's how RTSs often work. And it's also something that kind of made it easy for us to conceptualize around the certain mechanics, like with the robos, with their dropping the cores, and like the basic ideas of the robos that are in the demo right now is you play a lot around stuff dying, so that's why there's the robo bombs, that's why they drop the cores, why the zombos are a big part of a lot of the builds, and of course you don't have to, but that is kind of the one of the guiding ideas for the robo factions. Kind of death is a resource. That's what there's also things that trigger an upgrade for your other units when something of yours dies and all that kind of stuff. And while I think that worked out pretty well for what we have in the demo, when we started to conceptualize the other factions, I always got kind of stuck, and then I would talk to Martin, and we wouldn't really come up with a cool solution and everything. And so yeah, I think we're actually not going to do factions, and we're actually going to do, I don't know, at the moment we're calling them packs or tech packs, which will be similar from the idea to the factions, but they will be a bit smaller, and you will be able to combine more of them within run. I'm not sure how many yet, because I'm not sure exactly how they will pan out. We're just kind of that has been a fairly recent development, that we kind of said, you know what, we're not going to do the faction system as we said, because we have a lot of things prepared there. So the tanks that you have seen some of them in some of the last devlogs that I did. There's a bunch of them already playable, and they have some cool systems with the armor system and the panic system. There's some neat stuff in there, but kind of it never felt like I was able to fill out a whole faction worth of things, which in my mind is something like, I don't know, 30 to 50 cards. And at the same time, I also felt like the way that the robos work doesn't always feel perfect, because you probably ran into this if you played the demo. Sometimes you get a build and you have all those robocars lying around and they just don't do anything, and that's not a great feeling. So I think we will probably separate the robos that we have out into more of a maybe more of a bounty focused part of it, and more of a core / zombo / spawning part of it. And in that sense, we will kind of separate the cards that you can get, the blueprints that you can get, into a bit more, a bit smaller subdivisions of the whole stuff that you can get. And then exactly how this will pan out, I will talk about in one of the future devlogs, like not too far in the future, hopefully, because that is something that I'm working on very actively right now, and talking to Martin also a lot, because he has a very system-oriented mind that is super helpful to kind of get things into an order that makes sense. And yeah, so you will hear more about that, and I think that is by far the best idea that we have had so far with how to separate that. And yeah, I definitely looking forward to sharing that. And that also allows us, which I think is a big advantage, to kind of mix stuff within the decks. Because I think the decision to go with Robos as the first faction, like I mentioned here before, was basically only because they were the ones that were done the most when we decided to release the demo. So it was a bit random. And I think it's a bit limiting that you don't, like, there's no reason why you're not able to also get some tanks and some mechs and that kind of stuff. So that probably, not promising it, but probably will also change in the demo once we have figured out how to subdivide them. And then the demo will probably also get updated with this new system. Simply also because we all, like I mentioned in the last devlog, it's always really important for us to have a current take on the game in the demo, so you actually can give us feedback about the actual current state of the game. Yeah, so much for factions. That was a long one. 6. All right, Crystal / Harvester overhaul. The engineer is a force for good in our world. He found a way to resist the maelstrom of the PCX operation by using crystals. There will be a lot more ways to mess with the economy coming up. There might be units that plant new crystals. You might be able to turn trees into crystals. You might be able to harvest trees, ? And you'll be able to click on them to see how much crystal value they still contain. Yeah, that is mostly still correct here. You actually are able to kind of generate crystals. There's the crystalline amplifier that allows you to kind of keep your crystals alive for longer. There's the crystal meteor, and turning trees into crystals is actually also something that is in the game already, although not in the demo. Oh, and yeah, and you are able now to click on the crystals to see how much value they still contain, which was a often requested feature at the time, and yeah, you're able to do that now, so you can see just their HP tell you how much crystal they're still able to give off. Number 7, options and controls. Our settings are pretty bare bones right now, but we want to add full control customization as well as accessibility features. High chance that this will also include a first pass for a controller control scheme. Oh, that was bold of me to say. There's of course more things, especially in terms of new units, new maps, upgrades, potions, etc., but they'll be added more gradually. Yeah, actually that is something that we have been working on right now, or mostly Martin has been working on right now, is the new option system, and it's already in the game and will 99% be rolled out with the next demo update as well. So you can let us know what you think about it. It will not have full control customization as of yet, most likely, and will be a bit limited in terms of features, but it is, again, like I mentioned a couple of times, it is constructed in a way that makes it easier for us to add more stuff in the future. So we will probably just bit by bit go through it and add the different options. And whenever you let us know about something that is really important to you, then we'll have a look into it. And maybe it's just something, a lot of things are on their own, don't take that much to implement. So we will be happily just adding more features to the options bit by bit to support the way that you want to play. That also especially goes for the accessibility features. I know that there are some things that people have asked for, like being able to disable the damage flashes, because they can be a bit uncomfortable for people that have like photosensitivity issues and that kind of stuff. So yeah, whenever you notice something, please let us know. I can't promise that we'll be able to do everything, but we will look at everything and try to see if there's a way that we can do it. And yeah, if we can do it right away, we will add it to one of our lists of things to do in the future. So yeah, new option system coming soon and then being fleshed out more. Oh, and I just... the controller support scheme, controller support will probably will of course also not be rolled out with the next update, but it's still something that I really want to do. But I'm not sure how to prioritize it. Like for myself, I would actually really like it because I have to admit that my playtime has moved a lot towards the Steam Deck. Since I had one, and I really enjoy playing on there. So just for me personally, I would love to have a great way to control and play Rogue Command on a controller and on the Steam Deck. But that is a lot more work because there are some specific things that we have to change to make that work. So I'm not sure about that yet, but it's definitely something that we want to do still, but maybe it will be something that we add post-release or something. I'm not sure. We have to see when it fits in. But yeah, it's not forgotten, and but it will not come soon.
Multiplayer.
All right. And now there's some non-numbered other things that I mentioned here in the FAQ. The first one is what we will not add. Multiplayer. Sorry, we love multiplayer sessions, especially in RTS games, but as a two-person team, we need to choose very carefully what we want to spend our time on. Multiplayer would basically mean we'd have to rebuild the game from the ground up. Look, never say never. I would love to play this in co-op with my son, but it's extremely unlikely and would only be even something we could consider if the game becomes way more popular than we expect. Yeah. That is still exactly what I would say about people asking if we will add multiplayer. It's almost certainly a no, and it's something that we kind of regret not being able to do, but I think it's definitely the right call for us. Like, there's a lot of RTS games that you can play multiplayer, and something that I didn't mention here, but I think I've mentioned in a couple of other spaces in the past, I'm just going to add is, it gives us a lot of great freedom to design Rogue Command as a single-player game. Like the time slow functionality and a lot of things around how the enemies work and the maps work and all that kind of stuff. It gives us some leeway there that we wouldn't have with a multiplayer game, because of like, even in terms of balancing, like, you have to be so much more thorough with having everything feel super balanced in a multiplayer RTS game, especially if you like want to feel in any shape or form competitive or fair. And yeah, I'm happy that we don't have to do that, because that's, I think, just would make a lot of things a lot more work, or add a lot more work to a lot of things. So yeah, no multiplayer, or at least not, like I said here, unless the game becomes way more popular than we expect. Like, it's not something that we don't want to do, but it's just completely out of scope of what we have planned for. And we've been working on this for 4 years as it is, so I definitely don't want to give us add more work on top than necessary before we have this the game released.
Mod support.
All right, and then here is another point, what we will probably add. Mod support. We think this makes a ton of sense for a game like Rogue Command, and our architecture is set up in a way where it could probably give a pretty decent environment for modding. This one is very hard to prioritize, so let us know if you have opinions and or experience in this area. And yeah, a bunch of people reacted with eyes and love and thumbs up, but we don't have, we haven't really gotten any written feedback. We got some questions from people for mod support, so I think that there is definitely interest for it, and I mostly would still think that this point holds up exactly the same way that I mentioned here. Is we would like to add it. I think we have a good architecture for it, but it's very hard to prioritize. Like that's very similar to what I said a couple of times now. I think it is something that we will have to do post-release to see if the game is successful enough for us to put in the additional effort to do that. So we will that will be a later on thing. And yeah, we would love to do it. We think it would be a great fit for Rogue Command, but no promises. All right. That was it. That was me going through our FAQ post from August 2022. I think all in all, actually, the points have held up pretty well. And we actually were able to tackle a bunch of the things that we said we would tackle already. And yeah, I would use this to kind of rewrite the post a bit. And I think then in one of the next devlogs, I will give more of a new roadmap, because that was kind of mostly more here addressing the kind of the past and how it relates, like what I said back then, how it relates to the current state of the game. I talked a bit about the future with the faction system here, but I think it would be cool to do a dedicated kind of, this is what we're planning to finish up the game, because that's thankfully the space that we're in right now, is that we kind of we're far enough along that we just have to think about, okay, what do we still have to do to finish this up? And yeah, like I said, that will be in one of the next devlogs, and I would love to hear your feedback then, because I think we have some really, like, to us it seems really clear what the roadmap is, what the features are that we still need to do, what the areas are that we still need to improve on before we can kind of call the game done. And I would love to know if you guys agree, and if you would prioritize the same things in the same way. And yeah, so that will be really interesting for us to know, and I hope for you as well. And yeah, wow, this one's gotten really long, almost at a half hour now. That is definitely the longest devlog by far, way longer than I thought it would be. I have no idea if this is interesting at all to anybody, but I think at least for a couple of people in our Discord who kind of have kept hinting at some things that have been said in the FAQ roadmap in the past, for them, this might be, they might enjoy this. All right, that's it. Wishlists Rogue Command on Steam. Follow us on here. Subscribe if you're interested in more devlogs and keeping up with the game. And yeah, definitely the most important place if you want to stay in contact with us is our Discord. So hop over there if you want to talk to us about the game. That's it. Have a great week. Recording this on Sunday morning, but I think I will probably only get to cutting it on Monday. So yeah, have a great week and talk to you soon. Bye.
Subscribe.